on TV Guide is over, and I just enjoyed it so much. I watched a little extra TV just for you guys all week, the last couple weeks. But I wouldn't know who is a little upset this week. American Idol got pushed back a day, right? Where are my American Idol people? I see there's so many more of you than Lost or 24, I think even combined, really. But I was wondering, I was like, the president is on like 7 or 8 channels. I would have been kind of interested to see who would have won if they had put American Idol on, at the same time. Because we already know, like, more people vote for American Idol than for the presidents, right? But it's just one of those things. Idols, it's something that God talks a lot about in the Bible. It's not something that we're left unclear about. And there's a story that I always come up here and I always tell you this is my favorite story whenever I tell you one. And it's because I spent so much time in it that week, but this is now my favorite story that I want to share with you this week. And my favorite Bible character. I had an argument with Matt, I forgot his name, I spend every day with him on it. Matt, about my favorite Bible character has always been Moses, and I've told you guys that. But after I spent all week with Elijah, man, I totally changed my mind. And so I want to share you this story with Elijah. And one of the things that I find interesting in the Bible is the way the Bible introduces people. And it really sets a tone for what they're going to do throughout their life. With Jesus, they start with the birth, right? Or even the conception with the Holy Spirit and Mary. And, Moses, they talk about him with the basket and go floating down the river. Well, there was a guy named Ahab. And this isn't Moby Dick Ahab. This is a different Ahab. And here's his introduction. This isn't my favorite Bible character. In the 30th year of Asa, king of Judah, Ahab, son of Omri, became king of Israel. And he reigned in Samaria over Israel 22 years. Ahab did more evil in the eyes of the Lord than any of those before him. He set up an altar for Baal, made an Asherah pole, and did more to provoke the Lord to anger than did all the kings of Israel before him. Needless to say, that is not a fantastic introduction. Right? I mean, you got to tell where this guy's going with his kinghood, kingdom. He's not going to take him to a great place, right? And so God sees this, and he sees how he's handling Israel. And he does this. He sends Elijah, and he decides that Elijah can handle this guy, can handle Ahab. And he puts him in charge. And this is why he's my favorite. Look at his introduction. This is the first time that you hear from Elijah. It says, "Now Elijah was from Tishbe in Gilead. He told King Ahab, 'As surely as the Lord, the God of Israel lives, the God I serve, there will be no dew or rain during the next few years until I give the word.'" That's an entrance, right? I mean, this guy, he's serious. I mean, this is the first thing, and I just decided when I read that this is my new favorite Bible character. I mean, he means business. And what happens is Elijah tells Ahab, no more rain. And I'm sure Ahab's like, whatever. Good luck with that. Maybe you don't understand how rain works, but good luck stopping the rain. And so Elijah takes off. And probably a couple of days went by without rain, and they were, that's normal, right? But it became kind of obnoxious. A month would pass and there's no rain. Months and months, years passed. And you can imagine Ahab, right? I mean, he's probably a little upset because, this is his kingdom. It's killing things off. It got to a point where it was so bad, the rivers had totally dried up. And water became the most precious commodity in Israel. And it took 3 years of this. And Ahab sending everybody to find Elijah, because he knows he's the only one that can bring this water back. And he's sending people, go get Elijah. And so finally 3 years pass. And everything's just dying. And God tells Elijah, we got to settle this now. So go to Ahab, set up a meeting. After school, we're meeting here. We're gonna do this thing. We're gonna duke it out. And so he gets Elijah, and this is Elijah gets Ahab, and this is kind of the battle. I mean, you're talking Cavs, Celtics. You know what I mean? Red Wings. Where's Kevin at? Red Wings, Penguins. Barbie Brats. Right? I mean, this is they're gonna duke it out, and this is what happens when they finally meet. Because Ahab's got 3 years of built up anger. In 1 Kings chapter 18, if you're following along, when Ahab saw him, when he saw Elijah, he exclaimed, "So is it really you troublemaker of Israel?" The Bible makes things so precious, so clean. You troublemaker. Those are fighting words, right? And Elijah says, "I have no trouble for Israel." Elijah said, "You and your family are the troublemakers. For you have refused to obey the commands of the Lord and have worshipped the images of Baal instead. Now summon all of Israel to join me at Mount Carmel, along with the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah." So Ahab summoned all the people of Israel and the prophets to Mount Carmel. And so you have Ahab, the king, right? You have 450 prophets of Baal, 400 prophets of Asherah, and then a bunch of Israelites. You're talking over 1,000 people, and at least 850 of them are prophets against God. I mean, this is one of those times where, like, if you were to get into a fight and there was 850 people that showed up against you, you wouldn't be wanting to fight this battle, right? And so, but he called all these people. And when Elijah stood in front of them, he said this to them. He said, "How much longer will you waver, hobbling between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, then follow him." But the people were completely silent. You talk about an awkward silence, right? I mean, he just told 1,000 people at least that you're just doing this wrong. You're not doing what you need to be doing. And that takes a lot of faith to stand up to that many people, knowing that the one that has your back, God has his back, but no one else really sees that. And I feel like we do that sometimes. Maybe we feel that way, whether it's at work or at school, where you know what you need to do, you know where you need to be going, the way you need to act, the way you need to live. But it feels like the entire world is just telling you you're wrong, and that there is no faith, and that there is no God, and that what we're doing is the way to do it. I mean, do you feel like that sometimes? I know I've felt that way. Where just everything is pushing against you. And Jesus, he talked about that in chapter 15 of John. He said this. He said, "If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world. But I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you." And so there stands Elijah. I mean, where it feels like the whole world just hates him, right? But he knows that there's something that's got his back. That it doesn't matter how many people are standing in front of him. They're so small compared to the one who has his back. And so, church, I want to encourage you that when you're standing in those situations, when you're standing against what seems like 1,000 people, that not only does God have your back, but the church has your back. The Great Lakes Church. And most all the churches should be there standing for you. Know that we're always praying for you and we're always fighting with you. And stay strong in those times. And back to Elijah.
Thank you.
I love this story. Elijah says to them, he says, "I am the only prophet of the Lord who is left. But Baal has 450 prophets. Now bring 2 bulls. The prophet of Baal may choose whichever one they wish and cut it into pieces and lay it on the wood of their altar, but without setting fire to it. I will prepare the other bull and lay it on the wood of the altar, but not set fire to it. Then you call on the name of your God